Madoff's original confession was that he lost $65 billion. And let's assume, for argument's sake, that that's the right number. Now, that $65 billion included all the phony profits that he had claimed to be making for decades. I actually believe it went back almost to the very beginning, so 1960. So let's assume Madoff claims he's lost $65 billion. We take out an average return of 10% a year going back several decades. Probably the real cash lost was closer to 20 or 21 billion. It's still a staggering amount of money.
Now that's at the end, right?
That's at the end.
Because a lot of the rest of the people took back.
So this is what the Madoff trustee is now sorting out.
Yeah.
Who took out more than they actually put in? Because those people may be subject to what's known as a clawback. Right. And Irving Picard, who's the lawyer charged by SIPC with sorting this mess out, is apparently trying to reconstruct the records of who took what money in and out. And so there were two big winners. Let's assume that all those phony profits, right? So that adds up to about $45 billion, right? As an investor, I pay taxes on that money. So a third of that, all those phony profits went to the IRS.
Right.
So the IRS probably made, over the life of the Madoff Ponzi scheme, I would make a very non-mathematical estimate of $15 billion in taxes.
Right.
Now, how much of that money do you think the IRS is going to give back?
Right.
This is what investors are now contemplating, is not only did they lose their investment, but they paid taxes on that money.
Right.
If they were, at least if they were, not taking the money out. So the IRS was a big winner. And then, of course, now we have the question of...
Can I interject something again right there? It's entirely possible. And we don't know. And the IRS is not talking. And Picard is not talking. And the FBI is not talking. It is possible that $45 billion was fictitious profit. It's also possible it was $100 billion.
Right.
And it's possible that the taxes, now you got a lot of the money was tax-free because it went to charities. But it's also possible that something like $45 or $50 billion worth went to taxes. And the IRS says, I guess the commissioner of the IRS, I hear he's a very nice fellow. It's kind of odd, this is a digression. But he's the son of people my wife and I have known since 1958 or 9. My wife was his mother's roommate in a sorority. And the guy who was the Kotz, who's the Inspector General for the SEC, I think is the son or grandson of my wife's doctor in Washington. I've got these tentacles out that I don't even know I've got. But the IRS will give back maybe 5, 10, 15 billion. It's keeping an awful lot and saying, hey, after 3 years or 5 years or whatever rule, you can't go back to 1995 and get your money back that you paid us because the SEC messed up, so we got all this fictitious tax money. There
is a bill in Congress under consideration, or being sponsored anyway in Congress, which would allow victims of any financial fraud, not just the Madoff fraud, to get their back taxes for the life of the financial crime. It's not the law of the land yet, but it's under consideration.
Is that the Meeks bill you're talking about?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, then of course there were the favored investors, like Carl Shapiro, Jeffrey Pickauer, Stanley Chase, and about, I believe it's 245 special accounts who, they got more than just the 10% a year. They got extra special big fat returns, and the speculation is that they got that money because they were bringing in a lot more.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.